Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations for the new releases of comic books. Huzzah!
Another, it's not like a super big week, but there's a lot of new stuff.
I would call it on the bigger side of medium release week, which seems to be more and more the case. There's so many good publishers coming out with good titles. And let's dig right into it, because this first book, it's a thick one.
Yeah, it's a big boy. It is Gods #1 from Marvel. They've been teasing this for a couple years now, actually, that Jonathan Hickman, this is the next big thing after his X-Men stuff, what's it going to be? And I think it was only finally this year that they finally kind of start putting out a lot of actual information for it. But so what it is the story of two organizations, the
natural order of
the natural order of things and the powers that be. Yeah. I keep wanting to combine the two into one thing is the problem.
No,
but
and can't be done.
Yeah, no. But so the natural order of things, which is basically they're two different groups that are basically representatives of their gods in this universe. The natural order of things are a scientific group, while the powers that be are a more mystical, magical group. And this primarily follows the avatar of the powers that be, Wynn, and his sidekick War Dimitri, who is actually a member of the natural order of things, and doesn't seem super thrilled to be there, and is basically on his weird tablet most of the time.
Yeah.
But he's super snarky.
He's one of my teenage kids, essentially.
God, I can see it as soon as you said it. But yeah, so we've got them on one side, but then on the other side, we've also got Wynn's, he doesn't like to say ex-wife, but ex-wife Aiko, who is one of the Centaurs, because Natural Order Things has a bunch of different avatars.
I think he might be operating on a technicality.
A little bit. Yeah. A little bit. He's a little bit in denial. He doesn't want to accept the situation.
Yes.
But yeah, so if all this sounds very new to even a lot of long-time Marvel fans, that's because it is this is one of the first real big new things they've thrown out there, and I can't remember how long.
And if you're going to have something new that is going to plug into the existing continuity and mythos and structure of the Marvel universe, Jonathan Hickman is one of a handful, very few people that I would trust with that, and expertise done here.
Yeah, the way it just kind of because the thing is, even though it's a new thing, you've got plenty of your traditional characters showing up very clearly because of the nature of their jobs, Wynn and Doctor Strange know each other pretty well. They act like they've worked together fairly often. We even saw, leading up to this, they had a bunch of issues, just random issues of Marvel Comics where characters from gods would show up for a page to kind of seed some stuff going into that. And in the issue of Doctor Strange where that happened, you really get a feel for the repertoire where it's just they're just these weird work pals that kind of get along, but also they don't always get along.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I love Wynn. He can be a little difficult at times.
He was a really engaging character.
Yeah. Hickman has very much described this as him doing basically his kind of take on a Sandman style series with these big concepts being brought down to a more earthly level.
Yeah.
I think he's directly compared Wynn to not quite a Constantine type character, but very much one of those guys where he could do something very unpredictable and maybe not great for other people in the room.
There are distinct differences between those two characters for certain, but there are also some strong similarities.
Yes.
Mostly in kind of the way that they problem solve and approach a situation.
Yeah,
Constantine is a lot rougher around the edges.
Yeah, it's super cool. So they're dealing with this whole big event, this Babylon event, which is kind of a world-ending thing that apparently is not too uncommon for them to have to deal with. And the whole time, a bunch of other superheroes, Mr. Fantastic, Black Panther, they're all trying to deal with it on their end. Wynn and Dimitri are just off on this little like side quest that
So cool.
like it seems like completely unconnected, but like it's super cool. And then like once you see like how it does all connect and like the misdirection for everything is just
magic is sleight of hand.
Yeah,
right?
no,
Yeah.
like we were talking about that yesterday, like the different like forms of magic in here, and it's the thing I love about this is it's weird. It's like a done in one issue, but it's also like very clearly like setting up all these other things going forward, which you don't get a lot in comics nowadays, where like you can just like read a single issue of something and be like, that was a complete story.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and I mean, it was almost the size of two comics.
That is the thing. It is a thick boy, but it's worth it because everything in here is great. There's wolf people. There's haggling with interdimensional pennies.
Yes. Oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, one of the things that really worked here is that Hickman anchored it in so many aspects that are important to the structure of the Marvel continuity, and that's what made it work.
Yeah. Also Valerio Schiti, there are like they've been doing a bunch of stuff at Marvel for like years now, but this is just like it's probably some of the best work they've ever had.
I was blown away. It was so good. And so, when I heard Hickman was leaving the X-Men that he had set up, or at least conceptualized, because I know in some behind-the-scenes communications that I had with somebody who writes one of the X books, that it was not as portrayed in the media, where Hickman had this grand design and everybody was just executing his plan.
Yeah, it was a lot more collaborative.
It was much more collaborative than that. So I still don't really, knowing that, and that's a reliable source, I still don't really know why Hickman and Marvel decided to part ways on X-Men, but it must have been, something that they were both okay with, because this is a big undertaking for Hickman, and it's a lot for Marvel to give him the reins on this.
Well, because you said that like when they originally, after he had like been away from Marvel for a bit after his big Avengers run, when they came back and were like, hey, is there anything you want to do for us? Basically, like the two big things he said was like he wanted to do the X-Men and he wanted to make this. So like this is clearly something he's had like cooking away in his brain for at least like 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
So the fact that it's finally getting to come out and it's as great as it is it's spectacular.
Yeah, it's one of those things where his X-Men stuff was so great, and it breathed new life into the X-Men, which they needed, because they were, not that the books weren't good, but they were a little listless, they were directionless, and so to have Hickman leave those books was very sad. To now see what he left them for, it's a gift. And absolutely, check this book out. It's really good. And I went into it cold. I was not reading. It was in the annuals, right? That they
it was just like random issues of stuff. Where, Yeah, like if I'm sure if you go through our back issues, you'll see like the early covers where it has like the little God's logo, and that means that there's going to be a page in there. And it's interesting because like some of the pages they had like clearly tie into stuff that happens in this issue, but there's a bunch that don't. So I'm like, okay, what's that about? Because like it's real random stuff that hasn't come up yet, so I don't know how it's going to, and I would love to see it. Yeah,
I'm super excited. And this issue focuses on Wynn. It certainly appears as though issue 2 is going to focus on another character.
Yeah, there's like,
and I'm really excited.
Yeah, like there's characters that they've teased that don't even show up in this issue.
Yeah, excellent. And with the whole, there's demons and monsters and interdimensional, I don't know, running amuckness. How about that?
We're keeping that part in.
Yeah.
In fact, extended, make it longer, just put you on the loop.
But it's well themed for the month of October.
Yes. Speaking of the theme for October.
Yes, that I kind of on a whim picked up this book and was really pleasantly surprised. It supplanted one of my other choices. And so I went with The Midnight Show, the new book by Cullen Bunn over at Dark Horse. And the basic plot of this thing is there was a horror movie director, writer, producer, turns out actor also, who was considered the premier horror film creator.
Mm-hmm.
And on the set of what was going to be his pinnacle of his career, there's a fire, and apparently he disappears.
Interesting.
And so, the idea is like, think Universal Monsters, 50s, that kind of era, and how they ended up having kind of an interconnected universe where they end up in movies. They each kind of have their own, and then they end up in movies together. Well, this is all of the monsters showing up in his ultimate production. And so, of course, it's a monster movie. He's never seen again. The movie never sees the light of day. It must have been cursed, right?
Yep.
So now, fast forward to now-ish, and somebody has found the film and is screening it at a local theater, and weird stuff starts happening around it. It hits that exact right tone between lighthearted and violent isn't quite the right word, but there's wolf men and stuff, so there's a decapitation.
Yeah.
It's relatively tame as far as decapitations go, but so that's it. This one pretty much just kind of sets the premise of it, but it
well, because if you know Colin Bunn for anything, you know him for horror, so the fact you can't really go wrong with him doing another horror book.
Yeah, and to have it be an homage to the classic monster movies was just such a treat. It caught me completely off guard. Like I said, I picked it up on a whim because I thought, the Midnight Show, it appears that there's a Dracula and some zombies on the cover. We're approaching Halloween, this seems appropriate, I'll give it a read. Which we often comment on how horribly timed some of especially the big publisher horror type books are.
The amount of times that they will publish a Halloween anthology thing in September, and just my dude,
or July,
push it back a month.
Yeah,
what is going on
here? We were just having that conversation about a month ago.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was about.
It's crazy that you can't time these things better.
Yeah, the art by Brian Hurt was fun. Kind of that cartoony-ish kind of style where it's got that level of realism that is beyond, say, a Scotty Young. It's not that cartoony, but it's more in kind of that Darwin Cook.
It's very expressive, which is, you want that for a horror book.
When the Wolfman pops out of the shadows, you want somebody's face to be extremely expressive, and it was great. It's just fun. It's an easy read. It was really fun. It's October. I recommend it. And unfortunately, I think I might have underordered it, so hurry in and pick it up. But all right,
well, speaking of something that will also probably fly off the shelves pretty quickly.
Yeah, and probably take up a little time on this video.
Transformers #1, the new series from IDW, or not IDW, Image.
Oh, Image, yeah. See, right? There we go.
It's weird. It's weird because IDW had it for
ever.
Yeah, 18 years, something like that. Wild. And this is the first time they're now the fourth publisher ever to have the franchise, and we're not really going to talk about Dreamwave because that was the whole thing. But the first of the new Transformer stuff from the Image Skybound stuff that they've been doing, we've had Void Rivals on here a couple times. Right. Which, by the way, keep checking that out, especially in light of some of the stuff from this issue. Issue 4 of that is a lot more important, maybe. But
yes, especially when you see the preview for issue 5. Yes. And so let's throw it out on the table because the jaded, cynical people watching this, which I'm assuming is 90%, is going to say, but Fritz and Patrick, you guys are both Transformers nerds. I'm of the age where G1 Transformers were massive, and I honestly have not read a lot of the comics, but the G1 cartoons, action figures, the movie, all of that is just an indelible mark on my life. And you are come to it later. Yeah, consume much Transformers.
Yeah, the thing for me is I'll be honest, when they first showed up, oh, it's just going to be a kind of another G1 kind of revisit kind of deal, and I don't have a problem with G1. I feel it does get overused a lot. Right. Well, but I will say that this is probably this is looking at G1 not through like, yeah, they're like, there's nostalgia in that, but like, this is like, okay, what if we take that concept and like really like put some like heart and soul into it? Like the first couple pages of this like don't have really any like Transformer stuff going on. It's just like it's just like the human emotions of it all, which I feel like a lot of Transformers, because yeah, obviously everyone wants big robots changing shape, punching each other, which don't get me wrong, robots suplex each other in this. It's fantastic. But part of the whole thing though is like, you've got them on Earth, you've got them changing into like these human vehicles, they should be interacting with humans. If you can't like nail that, then like it feels like you're missing something. Which is something as much as I love the IDW comics, they never really like did a whole lot with the human aspect of it. And in this issue alone, there's like more of that than I can remember being in a lot of Transformers stuff for a while.
So yes, and the G1 part was the second part that I was going to say is, oh, it's just another G1.
Yeah,
this is to get a bunch of 40-something guys to just, buy with their nostalgia. But... And
don't get me wrong, if you are those 40-something guys, you will like this.
Oh, yes, I can attest to that.
But if you're not, if you're like, literally, like, this is like such a good like introduction to Transformers, like you don't need to like get any reference they make. They like make it as like easy to understand. Like you don't even need to have been reading Void Rivals to get like what's happening really.
Right.
Like it's as perfect an introduction to this all as you could probably get.
So did you read the note from Daniel Warren Johnson at the end of it? So Daniel Warren Johnson apparently grew up around the time that I did and had a similar experience with Transformers. And
did you also lose your toys on the bus?
Well, I mean, my jazz broke in half like everybody's jazz. And it was heartbreaking. But to the point of the G1 and it's not just another retread. The first point is there are characters who have, shown up in every G1 version of everything and are just done to death. And some of them have become kind of caricatures of their original. Yeah. And, it was an 80s cartoon for children, so they only took it so far up until the movie, which... But... Don't
get me wrong, there's plenty of that vibe in this.
Well, that's what I was about to say is
I'll say, maybe not exactly for kids. That one caveat.
Yeah, so... But they take these characters in a natural direction of what if they were more realistic.
Yeah.
Like as far as just their personalities and their actions.
Like, Starscream is like, he's still like the conniving, like, prick that we all know and love. But
he's self-centered, self-preservationist,
But he's also like, where he is at this point is very different than where he is in like most versions.
Yeah.
Like without getting into too many spoilers, like you'll notice on a lot of the covers and everything, there's a certain character that's very evidently missing. And I really want to know what that's about, because when it tries to get brought up in here, Starscream's having none of it.
Yes. Okay, I see where you're going. Yeah. And so that's the other thing about this is I'm really excited on how, Optimus Prime is prominently featured, and we've talked about how every show focuses on Prime. All the toy lines have 5 different Primes, But, at the same time, Optimus Prime is Transformers. If you're gonna boil it down to one character, it's Optimus Prime. Yeah. But we see the same handful of characters be the core for every other story, and they are breaking the mold right out of the bat here.
Yeah.
And making sure that, and we can see in some of the variant covers and
you can get an idea for
the solicits for some of the upcoming, that we're going to see more of kind of the background characters get more prominently featured. And I think that this is an awesome opportunity to tell better, fresher stories.
Because that's a problem I feel like a lot of Transformers can suffer from, is where they've got, because you want to have all your favorite toys up on the like play mat, so you've got so many characters that they're all just kind of there, that was part of the thing with the old cartoon. It's just like, oh, random episodes, new characters are here. Where'd they come from? Who knows? They're just here now.
Right, yeah. Like, although they've got an explanation for it here, and the mechanisms around how they're going to tell good stories that can slowly build. They're taking their time with this. They're being intentional. It's so good. You can see how much thought and care Kirkman and Daniel Warren Johnson, and I'm sure this is going to continue through the entire universe.
Like Joshua Williamson's like new G.I. Joe miniseries coming up. Like,
gonna be a can't miss, right? I mean, it has to be. Yeah, I'm super excited. The art in here was fantastic.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. We didn't mention, like, it is both written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson, who has been on here, I think, for a lot of Duo Powerbomb, which was like the last big thing he did before this. But like, that's fantastic. Wonder Woman Dead Earth is fantastic. Murder Falcon is Dude has never had a bad comic. Like, even like at cons, he'll like have these little like black and white comics you can get. And they're these little couple page things, and even those are just phenomenal. It, like, I don't know how the man does it, but
I went into this just thinking like, well, your 8-year-old brain is just going to override anything. It's whatever doesn't work or whatever is a red flag is going to be a tickle in the back of your brain, and you're going to love it, and you're going to tell people to buy it anyway. But there'll be that something in the back of your head that's, a little guilty in there. Like, hey, was it really that good? No, that did not happen because this was fantastic.
Oh, no.
You don't have to be a Transformers fan to like it. I think that's the other thing.
Yeah, like
this is a clean slate. And yes, it's got great human elements and great robot elements. What could be better?
Also, I really want Carly's van. There's this
super cool.
She's got a cool van in here. It's got that cool like old like fantasy art on the side of it. It's just, I want that van.
I'm so stoked about the people, the human characters in this book.
Like the whole like. Have they explicitly said that they're the Witwickies? I'm assuming because it's Spike and Sparkplug.
I don't know why you would change at that point, but they're definitely takes on it.
Yeah, their whole family dynamic is very interesting, and I want to see more of it.
Yeah, super cool. Well, we have a number of other Halloween-themed books on the wall this week. We've also got a number that are coming up in the future, but be sure to come in and check out everything, and then also be sure to check out. We have all the upcoming books available to be able to preview and know when they're releasing. And if you've got the app or the web account, you can subscribe to those ahead of time so that you make sure that you don't miss out on anything that you're excited about coming up. But you got to hurry in if you don't do that, and make sure that you get a copy for yourself. Otherwise, when they're gone, they're gone.
Yep.
Almost all of these, we have no ability to be able to reorder. So
I will say, Transformers, they did say that it's already sold out distributors, so like they're going to a second printing. So get it while you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gods was great, and Midnight Show took me totally by surprise.
I'm going to have to grab a copy.
You're going to like this one, I can tell already. Well, we will be back next week, and in the meantime, be sure to like, follow, subscribe. Like I said about the Comic Hub account, that's what we use for our point of sale and subscription service. So if you haven't signed that up, come on in and we can help you do that. Otherwise, you can do that online. But that will help you make sure that you don't miss anything coming out in advance.
You can get other stuff like graphic novels like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which has also been on this, I believe.
Yes,
Sarah
Phantom Road, Sarah picked number 1. Yeah. So we will be back next week, and until then, enjoy all the reading.
Listen, God knows it's better than freaking Energon. Oh my God. You want like worst Transformers cartoon? Definitely Energon. Fight me on it, anyone.